after that to to recover. It's such a brilliant song. Here she is.
Sorry, got
No,
lost
no
in the
problem.
way.
It's
Technical stuff.
it's a big old conference. No problem
Yes.
whatsoever. I was just saying, like, I needed a minute anyway, because every time I hear your song, it gives me absolute goosebumps, and I just need a minute to come back. So thank you very much, first of all. So we've got lots of people joining us, and we're asking them to put some questions in the chat. But I mean, I have lots of things I want to ask you about as well, first of all.
Awesome.
I'll just introduce myself as well briefly. أهلا وسهلا فيكم everybody. My name is Sarah Husseini. I'm Palestinian من القدس أصلا, but I grew up in the UK. I'm also a very, very proud at this moment BuildPalestine board member, because the team are doing an absolutely incredible job with this summit. And shout out to all of them for doing a fantastic job. And I'm particularly excited now because I get to join you, Eman, and to have a conversation with you. Eman, obviously everybody knows who you are. You're a brilliant, talented content creator.
Thank you so much.
And we're so happy to have you here. So ahlan wa sahlan, first of all.
I am so happy. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be a part of this summit. I'm really, really honored. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Now, I've watched your video. I'm sure everybody's the same. We've watched your video probably many, many, many times now on TikTok and Instagram. And obviously having you perform it live is really, really special. And I was trying to reflect on why it's so special and why it's so important to us as Palestinians. And I don't know, for me personally, I think, well, two things really. One was not just the creative way of doing it through song, but also with the sea shanty, the way you did it. Is I was reading about sea shanties and I didn't know this, but the idea, I'm told, is that there's a rhythm and you keep the rhythm to help sailors sort of together do like a difficult task, like hoisting a mast or pulling up something. And so when we're thinking about this conference and this idea of like harnessing our collective power, that's exactly what the sea shanty is supposed to do, is to getting people to harness their collective power to pull together and work together. So I thought that was a really nice little coincidence, first of all. But I think the main thing is just the simplicity. So like just the fact that as Palestinians, often we're told, Palestine's a complicated issue. It's very complex. It's very far away. It doesn't matter to anybody else. No one, people don't understand and they sort of leave it because they don't understand it. And the fact that you managed to get something across in 90 seconds in such a simple way, I think is really meaningful and powerful. So really, I just wanted to say thank you again, first of all, and then just hear a little bit about the story of Palestine, right? How did it come about? How did you come up with the idea? How surprised were you when it went viral? Just tell us a little bit about creating it. I'd love to hear it.
Okay. So first of all, in Egypt, as an Egyptian, we all grew up, caring and like so much learning about Palestine and what's going on, and it's a cause that we all feel like it's a part of us. It's not just something happening in a neighbor country. It's something that deeply hitting us in our hearts. So of course, for me as a content creator, I've been creating content for 11 years professionally for other companies, telling their stories, like creating videos for them. But also I had this channel which just started like 8 months before the story of Palestine, and I'm like, I want to create a channel where I talk about the things I care about. I never ever imagined or planned to have politics or such serious causes and talking about human rights and stuff like that. I didn't have like I thought this was out of my league. But at first all I did was whenever I have a thought in my head, I love to create content. I'm just going to go ahead and create something about it. And then when the recent events of Sheikh Jarrah happened in May and the bombing of Gaza happened, of course, it affected me so much. It was during Eid and I was in a family trip, supposedly having fun with my family and my kids and everything. But, I felt like I couldn't enjoy my time. I was always so concerned, following everything what's happening on social media. It was, my heart was really aching for what was going on at that time. So the first thing, I didn't have a plan yet, but the first thing I thought about is I'm not going to create any content that's irrelevant because it's inappropriate. And this is what I did. I just posted something, you know what, I'm not going to post just go ahead and see what's going on in Palestine, but I'm not going to do anything. I didn't have any plan. And then when I was back from the trip, I was going through my old stuff. I was organizing things on my desk and stuff. And then I found old paintings of when I have them right here, of when I was a child. I was maybe I don't know, 8, 9. I don't know exactly how old I was, but I was surprised because I found this picture of Muhammad Adurra, of course,
Oh, wow.
21 years ago. And as a child, it affected me so much that I was drawing it on a piece of paper, and the image would never leave my head ever. It's carved inside my memories. And I also found this, another drawing, which I remembered exactly when it happened. I was in a class, art class in my school, and the teacher asked us to draw something about Eid. It was also Eid, ironically. And for some reason, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna draw kids playing with a kite normally, and then in a cloud up there, in a parallel world, Palestinian children are running away from tanks, from Israeli tanks who are, killing them. So of course, it was very, very emotional for me at this point that, first of all, that this is still happening so many years later, and I grew up and life is happening everywhere else, and this is still going on in Palestine. So that got me in a mood where, I'm like, I'm angry and I want to do something about it. Number two, I was inspired that as a child, I knew about what was going on. I cared, and I expressed it through art. So why can't I, as a content creator, which is a form of art right now, because on my channel I do I sing and I create videos, I act, I let out all my creative energy out there. So how come I'm not using this platform? I'm stopping. Yeah, and instead of just stopping, why don't I use the platform to express also through art? And the third thought that came to my head is, I have a child. I have a 7-year-old daughter. So she doesn't know anything. Why doesn't she know anything? She should know as well what's going on in the world, because I feel like one of the main reasons why a lot of things are wrong with the world is lack of empathy. And I think growing, teaching our children from when they're at a young age to care about the rest of the world, it's something that is so important. So this is how it started. At this point, I still didn't have a plan yet what I'm going to do, but I was in a state, like this energetic state that something has to be happen. So all I did is I sat down with my girl and I told her the story of Palestine just in a very simple way as possible to a 7-year-old child. And I felt like she understood the problem. She's like, she cared. She started asking me every once in a while, what's going on? Is it still like, are there still people dying? Of course, it's, I can't be exactly telling her how, sad the situation was,
Right.
but at least I was happy that at least she knows what's going on. She knows of Palestine. She knows the story. And then I sat down this day and I remembered sea shanties, because there was a trend on TikTok where people would come out and they sing the sea shanty with different lyrics, of course, like about a ship. And I always thought that it's a brilliant way of telling stories, like you were mentioning. So I'm like, it was just a challenge for me. I'm like, what if I try to tell the story of Palestine using a sea shanty? And I wasn't even yet sure if it's something to be posted later or not. It was just a challenge for me. So I sat down, I started writing. 4 hours later, it was done. The story was written,
Wow.
everything is rhyming, everything is in place, because it's simple. So
Oh, I
yeah.
don't know if it's simple to make. It's definitely, it comes out simple, but usually the simplest things are the hardest things to create. So I mean, that's incredible.
So that's the story. Like that's how like the events happened all the way until the moment I posted. But definitely I did not expect it to go viral. For sure, I did not expect that at all.
No. And it must have been quite a big moment to post it, right, as well, because like you said, if you've not really been posting anything deemed political, and again, it's such a sad
Yes.
thing that everything around us is deemed political, right? But when it shouldn't
Yeah.
be, it's our story. But that must have been quite a big moment. And that's wow. And I want to pick up on something actually just you said about obviously telling your daughter the story of Palestine, and also the fact that you obviously as a child knew a lot about Palestine and cared a lot about it. And I think I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience of sort of more broadly growing up in like Egypt or the Arab world more broadly, right? Because I think as Palestinians, there's always been this concept of our Arab sisters and brothers around us, and that there has been this strong sense of justice for Palestine and knowing the struggle. But at the same time, if on a political level, the governments and normalization deals are happening all the time, and there's a sort of a sense of a loss of some of that. So I wonder, just from your experience of growing up? Has things shifted? Has things changed? It sounds like actually people know Palestine. They knew them. You knew Palestine when you were a child, and you're now teaching your daughter. Do you feel that's the case more broadly, maybe in Egypt or across the Arab world as well? Or what's your sense of it? Or even on social media in terms of other Arab content creators who maybe aren't Palestinian themselves?
On social media and in the media, like in national TV as well. Like I was hosted on a national channel after the story of Palestine to talk about my song, the story of Palestine. So no, generally, like the stand here is very clear for all Egyptians. Like the majority here, it's the truth is loud and clear.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wish politics and I wish the world and people in power, life was as simple and clear as do the right thing. But I don't know. It's maybe this part is just vague and complicated. I don't understand it. But if you're asking about like the people and the community and the like opinion here, no, of course we're all with Palestine 100%.
No, that's really, really good to hear. It's really heartwarming. So I was thinking about, so yesterday we had the summit for 2 days, and yesterday we had a panel all about strengthening Palestinian voices and the centering specifically of Palestinian voices, and particularly through social media. And we heard from Palestinian influencers, we heard from We Are Not Numbers in Gaza, who are doing loads of amazing work to kind of show stories from Gaza and what's happening there. We had someone talking from Hamle around digital rights and all the sort of challenges still with social media. And I feel like you bring a kind of another dimension to that, which is one of an ally, right? It's one of solidarity. And so I'd love to hear what your sort of how you think about the role of allies in this thing, whether it's on social media or elsewhere, and whether you think people are either just know more nowadays or they feel more empowered to speak out, and kind of how much is that down to Palestinians who are now authentically, unapologetically centered now and sort of leading the way in that regard. So I'd love to just hear your reflections on that a little bit.
So we're living in a crazy time, really, but it's really awesome how social media is like a parallel universe out there where we can create a whole new world, like, or a community out there. And I feel it, and I felt it so much. I learned a lot from what happened with my song, because at the end of the day, I only had 3,000 followers. And then in 2 days, I had 100,000 followers. And it was crazy, of course. But, as a content creator, it was definitely a reason to celebrate. But of course, as a person, it was like, all I did was tell a sad story. But anyways, at the end of the day, I learned how great of an impact people can make on social media. And nowadays, like the way I was growing up, it was only 3, 4, 5 big channels people resort to find out what's going on in the world. If you're in the East or like in this part of the world, you will hear this version of the story. If you're in the West, you'll hear this version of the story. You don't have access to the full truth. Now it's totally different. Now I've received messages after my video from people from all over the world, and of course I like received negative and positive and everything, but the one message that really felt great to hear and know that it's out there going on, people telling me, we grew up, like you said earlier, it's like whenever Palestine news, Middle East news are on the channel, we're like, so complicated. It's just so sad. Something's wrong there, but we will never get it. Right. So there's no point of trying. And, they only see, they know people are dying, but they're just too lazy to try to understand it. Now, it's totally different, because now they're not hearing from a channel that's making it seem complicated. They're hearing from human beings just like them that can relate to. They see that they're persons just like us. They're talking just like us, using the same terminologies just like us, which is very, very it's brilliant how nowadays, like I'm telling you, it's like we're a community of people and getting together to talk the same terms and tell the same story that people can now have access to without the need for any network or for any brainwashing channels. So the more pressure we make as allies or as Palestinians or as people who just found out about the story, of keeping the story going, keeping the talk, the more change will happen in reality as well. Because as you can see, I don't know about you, but I believe that even big channels are changing the narrative as well, because there is like it would be ridiculous to keep saying the same things again, and to not bring up Palestinian voices on the table. Like Muhammad al-Kurd was on CNN and on other channels, and now he's a reporter. This is amazing. This for me is, this is exactly what we need to be happening. And I feel the winds of change here.
Yeah.
So definitely we need to keep this energy, and we need to keep this conversations going.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same way. I think there has been a shift. I mean, there's a long way to go in some of the really mainstream. It's been far too marginalized for far too long. So there's a long way still to go. But I completely agree. I think there's a shift. Even I noticed it when I started getting outreach to write articles from organizations that would never. So I think like I had a couple of requests from feminist organizations who wouldn't have bothered touching Palestine before, but have suddenly realized that it is a struggle within struggles, and you can't be a feminist organization and not care about Palestine and care about the broader context of social and political justice struggles. So I think, yeah, I felt very much the same thing over the last period, which is really, really cool. And what I really like from what I don't know if I think I must have seen it on your Instagram, Eman, but you said somewhere that you don't see yourself as an activist or a political content creator. You see yourself as a human being with questions, which I think is a really beautiful and simple, a powerful way to kind of put it. And that's what I think you were getting at with the talking about, the community, and we're a community of humans, and we can speak in terms that each other understands. And so I guess on that, I was wondering, you obviously do make content about other issues as well as Palestine, right? And so like, how do you see all the sort of the causes that you choose to talk about, and how do you see them being linked in the bigger picture? Just sort of to reflect on the kind of how Palestine sits along other struggles for social and political justice.
In a simple way, because I love simplicity and I love simple words.
We love you. We love you for the simplicity, man. It's beautiful. It's a real skill.
I just see that there's a lot of bullies in the world. And just like we teach children to stand up for bullies at school, we need to teach the world about those bullies that exist in other forms or in other whitewashing, methods, but they're still bullies, and bullying is bad. So we need to stop bullying, and we need to stand up for the bullies. Just as simple as that. And that's the common story between all of the human crisis happening everywhere. There's always someone trying to shut up the other side, and people partnering up and helping this person to do that. So right now it's the opportunity for us to, again, the same thing. This is not the case anymore. So yeah, this is our opportunity to stand up for the bullies, to tell the stories of the people who were oppressed. By the way, like, of course, I've been sent a lot of messages of people, why are you not talking about this? Why are you not talking about that? How come you didn't mention this? Are we not important for you? I mean, I'm trying. But the thing is, if I believe in being genuine so much, and I believe that this is the key factor of why the story of Palestine was a success, because it was really, really, really genuine, really spontaneous process. I had no expectations or intentions for this to grow the way it did, and and I want to keep this, because I believe that good content is genuine content from the heart. So if I'm going to talk about something, it means that I really need to understand the story. I really need to relate to the story. I really need to feel this urge that I felt, this energy that I felt before, so that I say it, and then only then it will be effective. So I'm doing my best, and I'm hoping that everyone else who has a cause, everyone else who has a message that they want to spread in the world, this is your time to get this energy that you have and do it. So yeah.
Oh, that's really inspiring. It's brilliant. I see Wissam's joined us, so maybe he has a question. I'm going to ask one question first. That is from the Q&A that is just on that line. Somebody's just asking very simply, do you have any other plans for videos or content that are upcoming on Palestine or any other issues?
Yeah,
they're asking.
Just like I was saying,
Similar
I'm being
songs.
spontaneous. So I just, like, only last Tuesday, I posted on my YouTube a video telling the story of Mona al-Kurd and Muhammad al-Kurd. also it was not as planned as, hey, I want to make a video about Palestine or about the cause. It was just that I was so emotional when I found out that they were selected in Time magazine as among the 100 influential people, and I'm like, yes. And it's amazing, and it's so many lessons to learn from them. And that's why I decided to make a video about them, told their story and what I feel I've learned from them. So yeah, maybe I'll make other videos in the future. Whenever I have this urge, I will just go and, say,
Yeah,
talk about
no, that's
Palestine.
brilliant, and it's true. And what's particularly brilliant about Mohammed and Muna is just how much they don't want to be the face of this as well. So how much they have been thrust into this spot and they are fighting and they are doing an amazing job, and we're all so proud of
Right.
them. But they're so good about making sure that they're saying we're not the faces of this. We're just representing a whole people here, and it's not about us. It's about the cause. And I just think it's so refreshing and it's so
It
brilliant.
is.
They're
It is.
fantastic. So I understand why you would be inspired to make that content as well. We lost Wissam. I thought Wissam was coming to ask a question, but he's disappeared, so maybe not. What else was I going to ask about? Yeah, we were talking a little bit about yesterday on the social media panel as well about like the sort of challenges and the limitation side. So obviously there's been this big explosion in social media, and it's become an incredible tool. And like you say, it's a great place for people to get their energy and put out what they want to put out and in the world. But there's obviously the challenges of things like censorship, and we were talking about things like shadow banning and labeling stuff as sensitive content. And so just wondering, like, if you've had much experience of that and kind of how you deal with it, right? And I'm sure there's lots of Palestinian influencers and others out there who have to deal with the kind of negative side of things. You said about people also just flooding you with either negative comments and positive, and so just the kind of what's your experience been of that, and how do you sort of stay strong and stay convinced that you're doing a good thing, which you obviously are.
So honestly, I didn't face any of that,
Okay.
luckily. And
Okay.
I believe the reason for this is because my channel was never about this. So Instagram was not even noticing me. And then suddenly I made this, and it went, like, it spread faster than Instagram noticed that, hey, this is about Palestine. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
This is my analysis,
Maybe.
because I really faced nothing about my about labeling or censoring or bringing down any videos. So thankfully it didn't happen. But I just want to
Alhamdulillah.
say a funny quick story here, because I just found it so funny, because my dad, he had another experience where on Facebook he posted a video, like a cartoon about Palestine, like something, and it had to do with Palestine, and that was 3 years ago. And then suddenly, when all of the hashtags and stuff happened in May, he got a message, a notification from Facebook that there's a post that you have, that you have that is against our rules, so we're bringing it down. So he's like, what are you talking about? And then he realized it's a post from 3 years ago. So it was just so funny. And then he reposted it anyways, because he was so, provoked.
Wow.
But yeah, but it's just so ridiculous. You feel like it's childish games they're playing out there, because it's not working. It is not working.
No, no.
And it's actually
That's
provoking us to keep doing more and to keep, using our ways more. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also fragile. The crack
It
as
is.
soon as you crack the surface, and that's the thing with social media, people have that ability to just tell their story from wherever they are with their phone, and I think this just it means you can't control anymore, and
Yeah,
people out there who
not
want to
anymore.
control the narrative can't do it. And I think that's
Not anymore. Yes, and
yeah.
actually, it added a point to our side, because people now know that even they are being censored. So something's fishy out there, and they themselves got more provoked to learn more. So 1 point
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, yeah. So, how have you been dealing with all this? So, I mean, you must have. I know you've been on lots of like news channels and you've had loads of interviews around this video and stuff. How's that been in terms of taking up your time? How's it been in terms of your family? Have they like had any kind of response to this, or has it all been a bit of a shock? Or
Oh my god, it was so overwhelming. It really was so overwhelming. My dad, when I showed him the video before it went viral, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
showing him, look, my new video, it brought tears to his eyes. He was so
yeah,
emotional, and they felt so proud, and they were so happy with it. And then when it became this viral, it was so overwhelming for all of us. For me, I was struggling a little bit, because I had this time after that where I felt guilty, because I'm like, why this attention? Why I should not
Yes.
feel happy? Did I use the trend? Did I use, well, I was thinking between myself, did I, like, was I not genuine? I don't want this. I did not mean this.
Yeah.
So it was a very overwhelming and emotional part. But then I got, the grip of it. I'm like, no, this is right. I did something, and I need to keep doing it because it's good impact out there. I should not, drown in my, overthinking, imposter syndrome kind of thoughts there.
Yeah. We all have, we all suffer from imposter syndrome. It's
Yes.
it's handy. Oh wow, so yeah. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to ask a little bit about, because there must be many Palestinians out there, like young content creators. I mean, there already are content creators that maybe have. So I'd love to hear a bit about like how Palestinian content creators have kind of been inspiring your work, maybe, or inspire you. Also, if there are young Palestinians watching right now who are aspire to be content creators, like what advice would you give them in terms of either getting started or creating things? Yeah, let's pause on that and see if there's just how Palestinians have been inspiring your work, and what advice you
Yeah,
would give
of
to
course,
anyone
of course.
else.
That I've been inspired. I've been inspired so much this period of my life. Before I posted the story of Palestine, I was watching the videos, learning myself things,
Yeah.
and just like Mona and Mohammed Al Kurd, there was a lot of other content creators. Their names will come right now, but because
Yeah.
memory stuff. But what I noticed the most is, even from our side, even me as growing up and watching the news, there was always this representation of honestly, like, I don't know if this will be offensive at any point, but there was always this representation of a Palestinian person just being so emotional because they have the right to. And I just felt like it is just so emotional, so much anger, so much things that are hard to swallow as a person. And I imagine this is exactly the same way that people out there in the West would take that. It is so sad, I don't want to have to do anything with it.
Right.
Nowadays it's different. Nowadays the content creators I've seen online, and the way they're using social media, they're talking using the right terminologies, using exactly the language that all people all over the world will understand. It's just an invitation for people to come and feel relatable to what they're going through. And I believe this is brilliant. This is brilliant, and this is why things are now changing, in my opinion. It's the way we talk about the story, the way we tell the story right now.
Yeah.
So, and what I would invite people also, when it comes to the cause of Palestine, and then maybe I'll say another advice for content creators generally. But when it comes to the cause of Palestine, because I believe it's been very, very frustrating all, like, through the years before, and there's always this feeling that, why is the world not caring? Why is the world not doing anything about it? But all of us, we need to have this belief that no, there's still good in the world, and there are still good people in the world, and they were just really not genuinely not knowing the truth, but now they really, really want to know what's going on. So don't lose hope on that person, that one person that is living somewhere else, and you feel like they don't care. No, they will care, and surprisingly they can add into making a difference. So just go up and stand up and say, and have hope, and have good, expectations of what's the outcome of this will happen. Just keep this energy flowing. And in general, as content creator, an advice is, just like I wasn't into activism or politics or anything, but I just did it anyway. Also, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the perfect content creators to get started. You don't have to have the perfect camera or the perfect script writing skills, or just go for it and keep experimenting, until you will find this formula that works for you, or until you get this viral video that gets your message across. Just go for it, because perfection is really the enemy of being productive. So this is an advice in general, and especially for content creators, because you put out yourself out there when you're a content creator. So you just have to have this courage to just go out and do whatever you have to do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I think that's brilliant advice, and I think I agree with you as well. I think something's changed where people are, and especially the Palestinian content creators, are just being unapologetic in who they are and speaking their truth and not worrying about self-censoring. And I think it's so important. I think your advice is brilliant. I'm just going to read. Actually, we're already at time. I can't believe it, and that we've done like 30 minutes. Like it's gone like that quickly. But I just wanted to read a comment I can see from Bassem, who says that content creators have opened up this role of ambassadorship to all Palestinians and allies. So not just like official channels or government channels. The messaging is it makes us all ambassadors for Palestine, whether we're Palestinian or an ally. And she says, thank you to all the brilliant content creators like yourself, Eman, and everybody else who's changing the narrative. And I think that's a really good point to end on. And just, yeah, thank you so much for your work again and for fighting the fight and being an ally. And inspiring us with your work.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's
My
been great
honor.
to chat. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.